Happy Tuesday to you. I'm Fox 26 meteorologist Ramisha Shade. It's time for your afternoon tropical update. And we do have something brewing. It's likely not going to impact Southeast Texas, but I do want to mention where we do have a potential system out there in the tropics. It's not in the Gulf of Mexico, Caribbean, or Atlantic, but it's actually in the Eastern Pacific. This is our Eastern Pacific satellite, and you can see the dark colors, that convection there, the areas of showers and storms. Kind of disorganized at this point, but this is a disturbance that the National Hurricane Center is monitoring for possible development. In fact, they give this unorganized system at this point about a 10% shot for development over the next 48 hours and a 20% chance for development over the next 7 days. Now, movement is off to the west-northwest around 10 to 15 miles per hour. So that means it is moving away from the Southeast Texas area. If it were moving northeast, it could potentially cross over Mexico and head our way, but it is moving in the opposite direction. So I am not anticipating any issues from that system for us. In fact, we got that big dome of high pressure building over us, so I don't expect anything getting close to us, at least for another week or so. Let's head out to the Atlantic, and we are still fairly quiet here. You can see a broad area of circulation there, nothing tropical, but a little system there in the north central Atlantic, but still at this point, no tropical cyclone activity expected in the Atlantic for at least the next 48 hours. Let's hop over to the Caribbean, and we see a lot of blue here, not a lot going on. There are some showers and storms down around Panama and up around portions of Central America and Mexico, but overall things are pretty quiet out in the Caribbean Sea. Gulf of Mexico, same story, not really seeing anything that could potentially turn into a tropical system out there. It is fairly quiet. We've got a big area of high pressure over much of the Gulf, so that means usually a lot of sinking air and mainly dry conditions, not a ton of storm action. So we're pretty quiet, but we will monitor that system in the Eastern Pacific. However, as I mentioned, that is moving away from us, so I don't expect any impacts, at least for Southeast Texas, from that system. As far as our pattern as we go through the rest of hurricane season, which of course goes through the end of November, we are expecting to shift into a much stronger El Nino pattern. Of course, the last 3 hurricane seasons, we've been in that La Nina pattern where we typically have less wind shear, which means more tropical cyclone activity in the Atlantic. But with the El Nino pattern, there's usually less activity, but we're still expecting quite a few named storms. And of course, we could still have a couple of major hurricanes as well. So we could still have a fairly busy and active season, even though we are shifting more to the El Nino pattern. What would the names be? Well, we've already had Arlene, which was briefly a tropical storm, but if we do get another tropical storm or hurricane, it would be named Brett, and then we would go down the list: Cindy, Don, Emily, Franklin, Gert, and then up to Harold. We've got about 21 names here. These names are recycled every 6 years or so, unless the names really were associated with the storm that became catastrophic, devastating, producing a lot of damage, and then those names are retired. So of course you can see highlighted the 4 new names on this list, which replace Harvey, Irma, Maria, and Nate, since they were retired in 2017. So those new names are Harold, Adalia, Margot, and Nigel. I've been highlighting some things you can do to help prepare if a tropical storm or hurricane heads our way. So today I want to focus on developing an evacuation plan. This is part of hurricane preparedness. Even though things are quiet here now, that could quickly change. So you definitely need to find out if you live in an evacuation zone, and you need to know the details of that route and plan several routes, several ways to get out. Also, have a go bag for supplies in case you have to get out quickly. Follow evacuation orders if given. We don't need everyone jumping on the highway all at once. That just amounts to just a lot of mayhem out there and really slow speeds when you're trying to evacuate. So you have to kind of do it in an orderly fashion, and also make plans for your pets, because you need to make sure that they get out and they stay safe as well. So this is certainly one important thing that you can do to make sure you're prepared if one of those tropical systems develops and heads our way. Make sure you know how to get out safely. Know your evacuation zone if you are in one. Let's talk about the rest of hurricane season. Of course, we're still in the first few weeks of hurricane season. Hurricane season goes all the way through November 30th. Typically not much action for the first month or two, but we are expecting more systems to get going, especially as we get into the latter part of July, August, and the peak, of course, being September, right around September 10th. So we've got a long way to go. So even though things are quiet now, don't let your guard down, stay alert, because we could have a system popping up anytime. But I think we stay pretty quiet for the next week with that really strong ridge of high pressure building in. So make sure you grab our Fox 26 weather app. Of course, we got a nice tropical section on there. You can get the latest updates on any tropical weather forming, forecast cones, our Follow Me feature, and any hurricane watches or warnings that may come out. The only action at this point off into the eastern Pacific, so all is quiet for now in the Gulf of Mexico, the Caribbean, and the Atlantic. So that is the latest on your tropical weather. Once again, I'm Fox 26 meteorologist Ramisha Shade. Have a great evening.